What is up, Packers fans, and welcome back to another episode of Packer Report TV. I am your host and the publisher of Packer Report, Ross Uglum. We're so glad to have you guys right here on the Pack a Day podcast YouTube network. Um, Super excited to continue the five guys that have to be good today with left tackle Rasheed Walker. Real quick, if you've missed the first two five guys that have to be good, here's how this thing works. It started back in the day, and I do mean back in the day, like 2012, 2013, when I just started writing. And Green Bay was obviously super fresh off of the Super Bowl. I think, super fresh off of 15-1 season. The expectation was, how do we get back? How do we get back to the Super Bowl? And I really wanted to kind of put an eye on guys that weren't Clay Matthews, put an eye on guys that weren't Charles Woodson, put an eye on guys that weren't Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson, and really think about, who can be Desmond Bishop of 2010, who can be James Starks of 2010, who can kind of rise up from bottom of the roster to good enough to help kind of bump you forward into a Super Bowl. I think John Kuhn would be a great example of that in 2010 as well. And just even the way that Donald Lee stepped up in the absence of Jermichael Finley after his injury. There was a lot of guys like that. So really started focusing on, guys that if they end up being good, and I mean, a guy you thought might be a backup turns out to be an above average starter. A guy you thought was going to be an average starter ends up being like a borderline Pro Bowler. Desmond Bishop would be a great example of that. And so guys, that we're not always reading the headlines. So we're not going to talk about Jordan Love. We're not going to talk about Christian Watson. We're not going to talk about Ja. We're not going to talk about Gary. It's going to be, other level guys. And I'm going to try to explain why I think they can have such a massive impact on Green Bay's pursuit of their 14th world title. Before we get to that, guys, this was the right here. This was the partnership I'm talking about. I'm with Homage now, or Homage, I think. Anyway, great apparel company. You can see the H here. I always get goofed up. You see me rock this stuff. You've seen Jen Mackey rock this stuff. Andy, Dusty Evilly. This is an extremely soft T-shirt. Maybe being a bad salesman right now. The T-shirt's my least favorite thing they make. Their lightweight hoodies are second to none. Okay, I got a Packers one. I think coming on the way. I think they're going to take care of your boy a little bit. And I'm a big lightweight hoodie guy. They seem to fit my dad bod and make me look a little bit svelte. But guys, the cold weather hoodies, the hoodies, the softest hoodie I've ever put on my body. They're truly unbelievable. I prefer the lightweight hoodies. That's my jam. But that yellow G hoodie that you guys saw me in at the daily draft a lot, that thing's my baby. That's what I hang out in. But we'll stop pushing product. Anyway, Homage, I got a link right here in the YouTube description. It should be one in the podcast description as well. I'll tweet one out. Hopefully working on a giveaway with these guys and the occasional promo code. Get you guys a little bit of a discount, but they got discounts all the time. Just be sure to use your boy's link. Love Homage. They are our partner kind of for this season. I'm not going to go out and look for like a Badger State. Shout out to Badger State. They're still giving them free pub. But that's kind of who we're going to partner with, unless like, I don't know, Harley Davidson comes knocking or somebody in the Wisconsin market's like, hey, we'd like to give you tens of thousands of dollars. Holler at your boy. But right now, we're going to try and kind of keep it to the Packers content. Won't do super heavy ads like I just did, but usually going to be repping their stuff. It's kind of our vibe, right? Packer Report with kind of the retro vibe. This is our founder right here, Ray Nitschke. I don't think you can still get this, but they have tons of stuff like this. There's some cool Reggie White stuff over there right now. Love it. Love Homage. I think it's Homage. We're going to stick with Homage. We've also got some Packer Report gear not with Homage that you guys should probably check out. I'm going to do some publicizing of that on social media soon as well. Rasheed Walker, 5 guys that have to be good. Back to your regularly scheduled programming, right? He's the guy. And it's super clear to me. And I think, we as Packers fans spent a lot of time this offseason talking about, maybe it's Jordan Morgan at left tackle. I think that was probably it. Like, I'm sure there were some combinations where people thought about Elton Jenkins back at left tackle now that he's healthy, or if Zach Tom is your best lineman, which he probably is, left tackle. But I think really what people were thinking about was, is it, unless you're a super big Andre Dillard fan, but is it going to be Sheet or going to be Jordan Morgan? Jordan Morgan is in a fight at right guard. And, he has kind of guard level measurables. Talking about height, arm length, weight. Not surprising at all that they're going to try and start him out there. I think he's a more natural guard than, for example, like Derek Sherrod. And I'm not like here to dump on Derek Sherrod, but Jordan Morgan being a super athletic guard and especially like an elite pass protecting guard, totally within the realm of his acceptable outcomes. You can argue whether or not, he was, if you're going to draft a guard, maybe draft a different one there. Or if you shouldn't draft a guard, at the 25th pick in the draft. But if he ends up being a Pro Bowl guard, especially if he can transition successfully to the right side in the way that I would say Sean Ryan has kind of struggled to do, it doesn't matter. I mean, if Jordan Morgan ends up being 90% of Elton Jenkins, and you have Jordan Morgan and Elton Jenkins with two decent with Zach Tom, and if this guy Rasheed Walker that we're about to talk about ends up being good, they could be good for a long time, and they won't be expensive for a while, and that's going to be important. Like I said, with what they're talking about with Jordan Morgan, the cavalry's not coming. He's the starter at left tackle. He doesn't, in my opinion, right now, he doesn't even have a competitor. He is the starter at left tackle. Right now they're paying Jordan Love a ton of money. Okay, he is extremely cheap this year and extremely cheap the next. The way you can kind of do extensions is even like if they wanted to, they could extend him and he could be really cheap another year. Now, if he turns out to be a top 12, top 14 NFL left tackle, kind of a set it and forget it left tackle, he's not coming cheap. Okay, left tackles don't come cheap. Not everybody gets David Bakhtiari money, but good left tackles don't come cheap. So that's something to keep in mind. With that said, if you can get away this year, his final year, and his extension year without a significant cap hit at a premium position, and no bones about it, right? Left tackle is a premium position. That's going to be a massive win for the Packers, considering how much money the quarterback now makes. Another reason he's got to be good, or this is sort of something we talked about when we discussed TJ Slayton, he also has to stay healthy. Okay, got to do it. I believe in Andre Dillard a little bit more than what we've seen. Mark Eckel covered the Philadelphia Eagles, works for me at Packer Report, does an awesome job. Mentioned that like he basically said, maybe I'm a left guard, but I'm a left tackle. Okay, Dillard has basically refused to play anything but the left side of the line in Philly. Now, after flaming out with the Titans, he's on his last NFL legs, so he can't refuse to do anything. It's clear that they're trying to get him more reps, trying to get him more comfortable on the right side, because if you're going to be a swing tackle, I don't know that you want to be absolutely locked into he's a left tackle, he's a left tackle, he's a left tackle, because if Zach Tom gets hurt, do you really want to throw Elton Jenkins back out there at right tackle? He played okay. Do you really want to grab Sheed, who's been a college left tackle and a pro left tackle, and throw him out there just so you can make Andre Dillard comfortable at left tackle? So I get why he's being cross-trained over there. And I also understand why he's struggling, because he's said, I'm a left side of the offensive line guy, but you have to be really good. If you're not going to be versatile, you got to be really good. And right now he's not really good. So not only, in my opinion, does Rasheed Walker have to be good, he's got to stay healthy. I think in a pinch, like I said, Elton Jenkins can play left tackle in a pinch, and you could have probably Sean Ryan in there, right? Elton Jenkins, like I think obviously Zach Tom can play left tackle. He's a college left tackle. But then what do you do it right? Did you try Jordan Morgan out there? You throw Sheed at right tackle when he's not played there. Is Tenuta the guy? So getting 17 starts out of Rasheed Walker is important. Them being good starts is also important, and we'll get to some of that here in a second. In very obvious terms, guys, having your left tackle play well is important when you have a quarterback who's important in an offense that you expect to be good. The Chiefs are an anomaly, and they have been for a long time, right? They get away with stuff. They can miss on Clyde, and look, every team misses. I'm not saying that, but guys, they can miss on Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round because they've got Pat. They can trade away Tyreek Hill because they've got Pat. Okay, they can draft and acquire a ton of guys with really questionable legal issues because they've got Andy and because they've got Pat. They're a specific thing, and it can't always be replicated. So the Chiefs winning the championship with 2 crappy tackles last year has a lot to do with the guy wearing number 15 and is not really a sound way to build an NFL football team and should not be done on purpose. Okay. If you don't have Mahomes, if you don't have Andy, it's just not a very, it's not a very efficient, high probability way to get things done. It is you are less likely to succeed if your left tackle stinks. And so Rasheed Walker not stinking is going to be super important. And as I mentioned, I don't see another option because they seem pretty darn convinced that Jordan Morgan's a guard. You'd have to have a pretty high opinion of Travis Glover or Donovan Jennings or Luke Tenuta or I don't know, Caleb Jones, our guy. I don't know. I think he's got to be good. This is 5 guys who have to be good. Rasheed Walker has to be good. He was, and I'll kind of close with this. He was very good in November and December. He was. You could see him settling into the role. Was he like this stone wall that David Bakhtiari eventually became? No. But he was really good. He was by like 3rd in pass block win rate by ESPN. Kind of like went between the 7th and 12th, best tackle, 7th and 14th best tackle over the last 2 months of the season, playing the most difficult position as a second-year 7th round pick. I see, really, really cool things for him. And I tell you what, if that continues, it's going to be good for the Packers because the Packers are going to be better off for having a successful left tackle. They're going to be in a great situation. You look at a lot of these contracts of high paid quarterbacks. A lot of them are paired to highly paid left tackles. A lot of them. Okay. Jared Goff is paired to 2 highly paid tackles. I think Taylor Decker just got paid. Penei Sewell's either getting paid or has been paid. I can't remember. I think he has been paid. But for the Packers to be able to pair a $55 million quarterback with a $900,000 left tackle, if he's good, that would be big. That'd be a big time for them. And honestly, too, for Rasheed Walker, we know as Packers fans, or I hope you're starting to understand, that the time is coming that all these guys can't be kept. Some of them will, some it can't be done. Right? They're not going to keep. There will not be second. I love to be wrong. There will not be a second contract for Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed and Dontavion Wicks and Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. It's just not going to happen. Okay. I'll be shocked if there's not a second contract coming for Zach Tom, but I don't know if that fixes your left tackle problem. I don't know if there's going to be room for a second contract for Zach Tom and Rasheed Walker when you're already paying Elton Jenkins. I don't know. I don't know that there won't be, but guys, there are decisions coming down the road that are going to need to get made because your quarterback now makes money at the top of the market. And that might change at the end of the week. Dallas might make Jordan Love not the highest paid player in NFL history by the end of the week, but it's still going to be, I would guess, even at the end of his contract, I would guess it's going to be top 10 QB money. And so having a guy at a premium position, left tackles get picked in the top 10 all the time. They are extremely important. To have a guy like Rasheed Walker turn out would be massive for this small window. And of course, we're hoping for the big, as Jair said, I'd like to raise that trophy on my birthday on February 9th. Like, we're all hoping for that. But this window where Love's contract isn't really hitting the cap, it would be awesome for the Packers if Rasheed Walker was good. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you are on the podcast side, we hope the podcast side was acceptable. When these are put out on YouTube, sometimes I don't know how well they translate on the audio side. Let me know always. You can follow me on Twitter, and I try to respond to most people. I'm at Ross Uglum. Follow us over at Packer Report at Packer Report 66. And do everything you're supposed to do right here. Like, click the bell, get the notifications, and subscribe here to the Pack-A-Day Podcast YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Go Pack, go.